The preacher man says it's the end.
Folks, it's economic conquest. It's world government by private international banks that have come in, taken over our governments. From researching this, separately from Burien, confirming what his research, the mafia, over 80 years ago, learned in Chicago how to get cities to invest with their mafia operations, and then basically they just keep the money. So they took the Chicago 1313 model that became mainstream in the 50s and went nationwide. They set up the national security dictatorship in 47. And now they own it all, and they are the imperial power. It's not free market. And now they're going to use the carbon tax to shut down any of their competition. I had a USA Today headline I've been meaning to cover the last 2 days. I'm going to dig through all my stacks and find it. But basically, they're celebrating that for the first time, record, payrolls drop to record lows. A worker pay shrinks while government jobs expand. And I'll find that headline. So they're dumbing everybody down. They're taking over. Now we see governments completely imploding. They're saying all the pension fund money's got to go to the bankers. So is this just the government, from your research, with the big corporations? They're just running a ruse?
You're saying, well, the corporations took over government. I say, no. Government had the massive flow of equity coming into government. They took 5%, a year, 3, 4, 5%, and they would invest it with the banks, brokerage houses, corporations, equities, domestic and worldwide. Well, 5% this year, 5% the next year. There's only so many nickels in a dollar. They took it all over within 3 decades and own the majority of, the value through their investments. And going back to 1946, GFOA, Government Financial Officers Association, was created and started promoting the annual financial reporting and accounting structure for government to change it into a pay-as-you-go structure, into a corporate for-profit collection vehicle. And, they started promoting it in cities and counties and states started coming on. By 1970, it had become the standard. And the group that was assigned to oversee the accounting principle was called GASB, Government Accounting Standards Board, which now writes the policy through transmittal letters on the accounting principles within the CAFRs. And by the way, both of those organizations are 100% private associations. And the boys, when they first started off GFOA, which on that 1313 crowd was actually transitioned into Metro out of Chicago, which moved out. They bought 400 acres, an old horse farm outside of Louisville, Kentucky, and it's their new headquarters, starting about 20 years ago. But the boys, the international cartel of people, the wealthy families, said, well, we'll create this structure, and this way we'll have an unlimited cash flow for our investments. We want to build a project, start a new corporation. Here's this money we can have invested in us, guaranteeing our success. And that was the initial approach. But as the government grew and developed and brought in more money, was making more money on their investment return, they became so massive, so large, that they became the controllers of the world markets based on the equity they had under management. They could make and break any firm, any bank, any brokerage house by that money being applied. Now, as I mentioned on that $90 trillion in derivatives held by J.P. Morgan Chase, the primary clients were local and federal government accounts, which they were acting as a clearing agent for those derivative positions. And the money just simply was sucked out of the world economy at the end of 2008, and you have to think of where was that equity transferred to. It was transferred to these specialty management accounts as a step in the takeover and consolidation of ownership. Now, J.P. Morgan Chase, all the banks that were not trading the derivatives, they got burnt by no protection. J.P. Morgan Chase comes in and buys out at 10, 20 cents on the dollar, as an extra perk, for their cooperation. And this structure, as I mentioned, it's very basic. It's a corporate for-profit structure. The annual financial report of government, or they put one word at the front calling it a comprehensive annual financial report. You can go on Google and do a search. Say, for example, you wanted the city of Burbank. Put the city of Burbank in quotes, and then CAFR, C-A-F-R, after it. Bang, pops right up for downloading. City of Los Angeles, County of Los Angeles, same thing. Now, you heard about Los Angeles out on the news. Oh, we're short on money and da-da-da-da. Well, I put out a post listing L.A. City's CAFR and L.A. County's CAFR. I'm going to ask you a question, Alex. What do you think the annual operating budget is for L.A. County?
I don't know.
Take a guess.
$4 billion.
$17.5 billion.
Okay.
With about $250 billion in investment funds. When I kind of brought that note out on a national post on my email list, all of a sudden L.A. disappeared from the news headlines. But here's the bottom line. This is very important, so important. This would cause the earth to shake and the stars to fall from the heavens, metaphorically speaking, if the public bought this cognitive thought. I spotlight, one pension fund at the top of my webpage, and on my articles page, which you can click and go to, you'll see the New York State Retirement Fund CAFR listing of investments. When you go down through listing of investments, either California or New York, you'll see the top profit makers in order are the banks and financial institutions, number one. Number two, the pharmaceutical companies in the healthcare industry groups, number one. You now know why the healthcare bill passed as it passed, because it guarantees profits for the government on their ownership of the healthcare and pharmaceutical companies, and also their participation with the insurance companies. The number one profit makers from the healthcare bill guaranteed them profits by funneling in trillions of dollars of taxpayer revenue to guarantee themselves their profits. Number two are the financial, banks, and brokerage industries. Number three are the oil companies. And number four are the war industry groups. And when you see this in every one of these large reports, I mentioned pension fund reports because they list the individual investments, where a city or a county report, they list totals but not where the money is invested. So a good model to look at are the pension fund reports, because you can be assured that the cities and counties that have specialty funds, self-insurance funds, advanced forward liability accounts, they're investing their money in approximately the same manner as the pension funds do. And when you start looking at one report after another report, you see how massive this is, how diversified, world ownership, domestic ownership, real estate projects. In fact, all of the pension funds I noticed over the last two years, they started specialty real estate spec accounts to buy up commercial property, houses.
Because they knew they were about to depress